Hi everybody, welcome to Right to the Top. I'm Adam. In today's video, I want to talk to you about the prepositions in, on, at. Okay? But I'm not going to do like the beginner ESL classes where they tell you about, differences time and place and date and all that. What I want to look at specifically are collocations. And this is where people get into a lot of trouble in their writing especially, is when they mix up the collocations with the prepositions. So I'm going to look at 10 collocations with the preposition in, and I'm going to make separate videos for on and at. But before I begin, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to show you a lot of words here today. I'm going to expand on 10 collocations, but I'm going to show you a whole lot more than that. So first of all, let's begin with the general understanding of the function of in. I'm just going to review this quickly. When you're talking about time, you're talking about within a period of time, like in July, in the summer, in the future. When you're talking about something that's going to happen in the future, in 5 days. In plus a time amount is always future. Remember that. Place, basically when you're in a container or in an enclosure, you're inside somewhere, then you use in my house, in my home, in the principal's office. That's fine, that's a little bit basic. You should all know this by now. What a lot of people don't realize is that we can use in for situations. So essentially, when you are surrounded by a particular situation, you are in it. Just like you're in your house, you're in trouble. Trouble is around you, you're in it. In danger, in luck, in debt, in decline, in love. All of these are situations that are pretty self-explanatory. The only one, in the dark, this is more like an idiom. When you or when someone is in the dark, it means they haven't received the necessary information. They don't know what's going on. Okay, so it's dark for them. They can't see the light or anything that's going on there. In one's position, basically in one's job, in one's official capacity, in one's job. Okay, now, so we're going to look at 10 collocations. And the reason I picked these 10 are because they are very useful for your writing. This is not a complete list. These are just 10 that I want you to start thinking about using in your writing, especially your essay writing for the IELTS and TOEFL. So in advance means ahead of time. Okay, so in advance of means before something else. In line basically means on the same page or on the same talking points, on the same viewpoints, etc. And you'll understand when you see the example. In line with means in agreement with. Generally speaking, let's look at the examples. The factory employees were told of the layoff in advance because the company did not want them to hear about it on television first. So the company went to their employees and they said, we're going to lay you off in 2 weeks. Everybody heard about it, then they announced it to the media. They didn't want their employees to go home and find out on TV that they're going to lose their jobs. The factory employees were told of the layoff in advance of the public announcement, so before the public announcement. A good leader, so especially when we were talking about politics, a good leader will keep subordinates in line when it comes to talking to the media. What does this mean? So if I'm the leader of a political party and something is going on, there's a scandal or there's an election coming up and we want to give out our message, I want to make sure that everybody in the party is saying the same thing. Everybody's on the same line. Nobody's stepping out, nobody's stepping back. Everybody's keeping the same message to the media. So keep subordinates in line. The bully was expelled automatically. This is in school, kicked out of school, which was in line with the school's zero tolerance policy. So in line with the policy means in agreement with, like according to the policy. You bully someone, you get kicked out. Zero tolerance, no excuses. Okay, so in line with. In turn, in essence. Basically, in turn means successive, like as a result of something, something else happened. In essence basically means essentially, means that's the basic idea of what this thing is. The price of oil is rising steadily, which in turn has led to the price of gasoline rising at the pumps. oil is going up. So as a result of this, the next consequence is that gas is going up, the gas you put in your car in turn. Many consider this new tax rate to be, in essence, a discount for the rich. So there's a new tax, and the rich are paying less, the middle class is paying a little bit more. So in essence, means the essential function of this new tax rate is to give the rich people a discount, to make them pay a little bit less. In essence, essentially, basically. In general or in particular. So these are two collocations, in general, in particular, but they often go together, or they're basically the exact opposites, so it's good to learn them together. And in effect, in general can mean usually or mainly, or it can mean when you're talking about the whole, when you're looking at the whole picture of something. In particular means something more specific, a specific point. In effect is very similar to in essence, but in effect means that although we are not calling it that, it is that. So technically, this is not what the thing is, but in reality, the way things work, that's actually what it is, right? Again, easier with an example. The university entrance exam is not easy in general. So the test, the whole test and the whole process, and for most people, not easy. In general, so on the whole, the test measures one's knowledge. So the whole test, general knowledge, it measures, so on the whole. But in particular, but something specific that it wants to measure is one's critical thinking ability. So generally, it measures your knowledge. What do you know, what don't you know? But particularly, how well do you think critically, your critical thinking ability. To be fair, however, I'm staying on the same topic here just to make it a bit easier. To be fair, however, this test is, in effect, nothing more than a weeding out mechanism. So they can call it a measure of knowledge, they can call it a measure of thinking, critical thinking skills. But in reality, realistically, what this test does is it just cuts out a lot of people. There's 1,000 candidates for the university. There are 200 seats. So the school needs to get rid of 800 people. They need to weed out 800 candidates. What they could do is look through 1,000 applications and just choose the top 200. Or they can give them a test. They can say it's to test their knowledge, to test their thinking. But realistically, 500 people will fail the test and be gone. That's 500 fewer applications to check. Then they check the other 500 and they choose their 200 best and they move on from there. The new tax rates, now, in effect, can also mean basically happening now. So active, I guess is the best synonym for it, active. The new tax rates will go into effect. So if you're talking about future, go into effect. But if it's already started, the new tax rates have been in effect since January 1st. So January 1st, the new tax rate started and has been working. It has been in effect, it's been working, it's been active since then. Again, in theory or in practice, two different collocations, but they go together. In theory means the general idea suggests that it should be this way. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. In practice means when you talk about reality and you see it actually working or not, then it works or it doesn't work. In theory, anything can work. In practice, some things work, some things don't work. In practice, in reality, synonyms. In all likelihood, probably. Okay. Everyone in this country has an equal opportunity to achieve success, in theory. In practice, however, the wealthy have an advantage over the economically. So the idea of this country suggests that everybody has a chance to be successful, to reach the top. In theory, it's true because really there's nothing stopping you. But in reality, in everyday practice, those who have money to begin with have an advantage. So it's not equal. The idea is equal. Reality, rich people have an advantage. Signs are pointing to a declining economy, though in all likelihood, this will be measured and reversible. Measured means limited, not so bad, slow. Though, so declining economy, though, so I'm going to show a contrast. In all likelihood, probably this will be measured, not so bad, and over time, and you can still fix it. So in common, so have something in common or have something in common with, basically share something, a belief, a viewpoint, an opinion, a taste, a style, etc. with someone else. In succession or in a row means one after the other, okay? Chronologically and consistently. Every nation in Eastern Asia has a unique character, though one cannot deny they have many cultural elements in common. So you have China, Korea, Japan, very different countries, but many of their the things they do culturally they share in common. They have a lot of similarities as well, and that's what in common means here. Students who have nothing in common with each other, don't share any interests, maybe they come from different socioeconomic backgrounds, etc. Students who have nothing in common with each other tend to make poor project teammates. So in common with the other person, two people have something in common. An economy is technically considered in recession. That's when the economy goes down, the economy shrinks. When the economy shrinks for 2 quarters in succession or for 2 quarters in a row, they mean the same thing, one after the other with no break between. So those are the 10, but that list is very small. There are many, many collocations. And it's not just about prepositions and other words. Sometimes it's prepositions with verbs, prepositions with nouns, prepositions with adjectives, other combinations of things without prepositions. Here are a whole bunch more collocations beginning with in. Here are some verbs that use in. And remember, phrasal verbs are verbs and prepositions. You need to know the different meanings and which prepositions go with which verbs and what they mean, etc. Some participle adjectives like interested in, disappointed in. These are the only 2 that use in. Confused by, frightened by, annoyed with, okay? They all have different ones. These are the 2 that have in. And I'm just going to show you one more comparison between in, on, at to show you why it's so important to understand the differences in the collocations, what they can all mean. In hand, on hand, at hand. Different meanings. When you have something in hand means you're already dealing with it. It's under control. The engineers have the situation well in hand. So there was a problem, but the engineers, they're dealing with it already. It's under control, everything's okay. On hand, readily available. Any book you have on hand will be fine for this long trip. I forgot a period here, there should be a period. You're on a plane, you have a 10-hour flight, you have nothing to do, there's no good movies, so you ask the person sitting next to you, do you have anything to read? And this person, I only have this book. Well, it's okay. That book, whatever's on hand, this is available, it's good enough, I'll take it. Again, in hand, on hand, there's other meanings in different contexts. I'm just giving you general, the most common ones. At hand, something that needs to be addressed now, something that needs to be dealt with. First, let's complete the task at hand, the task that's in front of us that needs to be done. Then we'll worry about the media's critique. So at hand, right now, needs to be dealt with. Let's deal with it, worry about other stuff later. Let's get the task at hand, in hand, and then we'll deal with the media. So it can be a little confusing. And that's it. Again, this is also, everything I showed you here today is a partial list. There are more. Find out what they are, study them, start using them in your writing, start looking for them in your readings, start listening for them in your conversations, okay? If you have any questions about this video, please ask me in the YouTube comment section. If you like the video, give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and keep your eye out for the videos on collocations and at collocations. They'll be coming soon, okay? Until then, bye-bye.